You are welcome to the viewer question segment, where this is a segment that is dedicated to answering questions that came on my channel on all videos across the length and breadth of the channel. So in today's session, I'm going to be answering questions that you sent through from Sunday the 29th of December 2024 right up to yesterday at 4:30 p.m. That is the 4th of January 2025. And so I'm going to be taking all questions that came through, and I'll offer explanations to all the questions that you've asked across the channel. So let's get started with the first question. The very first question here is coming from Almedo Jegi, and this is a question on how to set up wireless CCTV cameras. The question is in phases, and so I will start with the first one, and it says, how did you connect to the MVR through the app on the phone using the QR code? Alright, so I want to take that first session by saying that the remote view app requires you to enter the remote view ID of the DVR, or in any remote view setting you are required to enter the remote view ID of your DVR or MVR on the app. But in the case of this particular DVR, what happened was that a QR code was given that has the remote view ID of the MVR embedded in it. So once I scanned the QR code on the app, or I scanned the QR code as the app requires it, the remote view ID of the NVR was automatically keyed into the remote view app of the NVR, or the remote view app of the MVR. So that is why after scanning the QR code, the MVR got added to the app that allows the app to help you view your cameras online. Alright, the second part of the question says, because the MVR itself was connected to a router, which by the way wasn't connected to the internet, I want to take it up right away and say that my router has a SIM card within it, and so it is through the SIM card that internet is served onto the router. So it is not true that there was no internet on the router. The router has internet. And the second part of the question says, how could you access the cameras, or did your smartphone connect in Wi-Fi locally to that router? No. As I've already explained, the router has a SIM card through which I have internet on the router. So it is through the SIM card that there is internet on the router, and that is what helps me to view the cameras online. Alright, so let's move on to the next question. And this is also a question from the same person that asked the first two questions, and says, how is it that the IP address of the MVR in the first moment of activation was .1.100 and at the end .0.100? Is it DHCP of the router? And this is also a question on how to set up remote, or how to set up wireless CCTV cameras. How to set up wireless CCTV cameras and also be able to view it on your PC and on phone. So I want to say that there is a slide or a graphic that I picked up from that particular video that you asked the question on. And when you look at the picture that I took, because I was preparing for this section, I took a snapshot of what it was that was on the MVR at the time there was no internet. So when you look at this picture at the top, at the orange segment, that section that looked orange, you realize that is under connection status. You realize disconnected there. That really shows that there was no internet on the MVR at that time. And the IP address of the MVR at that time, when you come to IP address column, is .254 or so. IP address there was .254. and you realize that that was the IP address on the MVR at that moment. But once I connected internet, when you look at the final point where the MVR was accessed, when internet was connected onto the MVR, you realize that the MVR took the IP address from the router, and that is how come there was a different IP address through which I accessed my MVR. So it isn't that the DHCP changed or anything, but because there was no internet, the IP address within there was maybe a last saved IP address after the device got internet. But once I fed in my internet, the router from which I fed internet to my MVR assigned another IP address to my device. So that is how come the IP address is changed. I hope I answered your question. From there, let's move on to the next question. And this is a question from George Lincoln, and it's on my tutorial I had on the difference between a surveillance drive and a desktop PC drive. And this question says, what about using a surveillance drive in a PC? Using a surveillance drive in a PC will work anyway, but that will be an underutilization of your surveillance drive because the PC requires a lesser workload which can be handled by a normal desktop PC. So using a surveillance drive in a PC, you realize that that work capacity is way below the ability of the surveillance drive, and so you wouldn't be achieving anything much. That is a workload that could as well be handled by a normal PC drive. But let me say that it will work, just that you'll be underutilizing the surveillance drive. And remember, the surveillance drive is much more expensive than a normal PC drive. So what's the use if a normal PC drive can handle it? So that is my answer to that, and that is to George Lincoln. The next question here is from Bimbola, and it's also on the difference between the surveillance drive and the normal PC drive. You know, cloud storage service is good to use when it comes to CCTV or surveillance systems. And you must also note that it is a service that you need to subscribe to, and you'll be required to make continual or periodic payments for. Another requirement is that you need internet to be able to uplink your CCTV footages to the cloud storage. So those are conditions you must fulfill to be able to keep a cloud storage. However, if there is internet cut or there's an interruption to your internet, what happens to your upload of your footages to the cloud? You might be losing footages to the cloud. And so it is recommended that even if you subscribe to a cloud storage service for your CCTV, it is always good to have a local storage that is using a PC drive, or which I do not recommend. I would recommend using a surveillance drive so that you can also have your recordings done locally in addition to the cloud storage service. So that is my answer to that, Bimbola. Let's get to the next question. This next question comes from Brian, and this is a question on the use of the VMS software to connect or to receive your CCTV cameras from different locations. And so the question says, is this application applicable to any kind or type of CCTV? And my answer is that even though the Joe Vision system, or let me say the VMS software, has been designed by Joe Vision, or this is Joe Vision's brand of video management software, of which Joe Vision is a member of what we call ONVIF. ONVIF gives the opportunity for other CCTV brands to be able to interconnect. But I will always recommend that you use the VMS from the brand of camera you are using, unless you are conversant with the ability to use on-viv settings. With the on-viv settings, you should be able to use any brand of CCTV camera on the VMS software. Once you are able to turn on the on-viv settings, once you are able to turn on the on-viv settings, you should be able to have your CCTV cameras from other brands to communicate with your VMS software. So the answer is in two folds. You may be able to apply it to the other brands of cameras, and then also that requires that you should be able to handle your on-viv settings effectively. I hope I answered you, Brian. Let's move on to the next question, and this is a question from Damilari Yaya. I hope I pronounced your name rightly. And this is a question on the solar powered CCTV camera. And the question says, what if I want to connect the camera with my Wi-Fi and not the SIM card? I want to explain this or give an answer to this question using a slide that is next, and this is the slide on your screen currently. And so there are two modes of this kind of solar powered CCTV system. On your screen I have shown the one that uses the Wi-Fi, and then the one that uses the 4G or the 4G model type. And so these are two distinct systems. Those that are made to use Wi-Fi as a source of internet connection into the camera, and also those that are designed to use SIM cards as a source of internet. I'm yet to see those that are able to combine both the Wi-Fi and the 4G SIM card systems. And so for now, the one that you have is, if it's a 4G model, you can only use a SIM card as a source of internet. Unless you have a Wi-Fi model, you can't use a SIM card to provide. And so it is not interchangeable. But as I said, technology is advancing, of which you may find advancements where the source of internet could be combined, both a Wi-Fi and then also a 4G model. And coming back to the one I used, this particular one that I used uses a SIM card in it, where the SIM card is the only source of internet into this kind of solar powered PTZ system. Let's move on to the next question, and this is a question from Okpe Andy. Okpe Andy is asking the question on the rebroadcast of my practical lesson on DVR ports and HD or hard disk drive installation into the DVR. And Okpe is asking, what are the causes of lines or blurry picture on my screen? Okpe is saying causes of blurry lines. No, let me take it again. Causes of lines and blurry picture on my screen, please. There are many causes of blurry lines and or blurry pictures or lines on a CCTV output. And this is something that you most of the time experience with analog or AHD CCTV camera systems. There are two major causes, which are video related and then also power related. Most of the time, when your video cable terminations are not firm, and what I mean by that is if your BNC is not firmly fitted on the coaxial cable, that can result in blurry lines or blurry pictures or lines in the face of your videos. Another cause is power related, and with the power related issue, it could be due to the fact that the voltage that is going into your camera is too low. As a result of you might be running cables that are very long from the source of power to the camera. So those are two major causes of the lines and blurry pictures when it comes to CCTV. I hope I answered your question. So go and check your BNC terminations, or you check your power. Those are two possible causes of the lines and the blurry picture on your screen. Let's move on to the next one, and this is from Charles. And Charles is asking a question about access control, and he's asking, what is the name of the power supply unit? And I believe what's the name of the power supply unit used in the installation of the MB460 access control system. Okay, so this is a power supply unit, and I don't know any specific or any other name that should be given to it. Is a power supply unit for access control system. And so when you find out about the access control system power supply unit, and specifically for MB460, you'll be given this power supply unit. Let's go on to the next one, and this is a question on the panoramic bulb camera, and this is a question from Mahesh. Mahesh is asking, I am constantly getting this disarmed message after connection, and this is about the panoramic CCTV camera system. You know, whenever you set up your panoramic CCTV camera system on your phone, the arm message is about motion detection. So whenever you set up motion detection and you activate the motion detection, whereby you want to be notified anytime there is motion in front of the camera, the system will tell you armed. So anytime you see the armed status on your phone, that means that anytime motion is sensed in the front of the camera, you'll be notified. And so when you see disarmed, that means that motion detection has been deactivated from your camera. So you need to go into your settings. If you want motion detection sent to you, you need to go and set it up properly, because the disarmed message means that it will not send you alerts whenever motion is detected in front of your camera. So Mahesh, that is the answer to that. There's another question also on the panoramic CCTV camera, the bulb camera, and this is from Ndaka Media, and it says, does the camera go off or get disconnected directly after 4 hours? No, that is not normal. That might be a situation that you might have, a setting that you might have activated on the camera that has resulted in your camera going off after every 4 hours. You can perhaps reset the camera to factory mode by using the reset pin on your camera, or you can go back into the setting and check up the setting or the exact cause, which is the under power. It's power related, to turn off or to turn off the camera after every 4 hours. So you need to go back into it and check it up. It's not normal. This is the next question coming from Abdul Majid. Abdul Majid is asking a question on the way to set up wireless CCTV cameras. And Majid's question says, in terms of durability and lifespan, which is better between Wi-Fi MVR and ordinary MVR? Thanks. You know, when it comes to Wi-Fi MVR and the normal MVRs, the wired MVRs, you realize that if they are products coming from the same manufacturer, durability is not something that can be a question. They are all durable, but the main difference between them will be the functionality. When it comes to a Wi-Fi MVR, mostly they work according to wall partitions. For example, if you place the MVR in a room that is 5 walls away from a camera, you realize that it will be difficult to transmit from the camera to the MVR. That means that the walls might serve as a blockage between the receiver, which is the MVR, and then the transmitting camera. And so for connectivity, it is a challenge at times when you have partitions or structures in the way of the camera and then the MVR, which is the receiver. And so I think that is the basis on which you can compare the Wi-Fi MVRs and then the wired MVRs. For wired MVRs, once your cabling is done very well, you will not experience issues of connectivity between the MVR and the camera. But that is something you will find mostly in Wi-Fi MVRs, where wall partitions or structures are able to block signal from the cameras to the MVRs. So that is something I want to say. That is what is comparable between Wi-Fi MVRs and hardwired MVRs. I hope I answered your question, Majid. All right, let's move on to the next question. And this is a question from Thomas. Thomas is asking a question on the CCTV camera installation mistakes to avoid. And he's saying, please, my cameras are not responding. What is the problem? This is what I found on the screen, not available HDD. Thomas, the HDD or HDD simply stands for hard disk drive. And so that inscription should be telling you that your hard disk drive is either not found or there's no hard disk drive installed in your DVR or MVR at all. So you need to go back and check. If you haven't installed a hard disk drive in your MVR, get a hard disk drive or a surveillance drive and install. Or if it is already there and it is not being seen, you might perhaps check your connections, or the hard drive might have been crashed or something. So you need to check your hard disk drive or the surveillance drive in your DVR or MVR. That's to you, Thomas. Let's move on to the next one. And this is a question about the outdoor power supply unit. And this is a question from Joe. Joe is asking, where do we buy this? Where do we buy the outdoor power supply unit? Joe, you can get it from any outlet or shop that sells CCTV camera systems and accessories. This particular one I used is a product from Joe Vision. And so if you have a Joe Vision outlet in your country or your jurisdiction, you can walk into the showrooms and you can obtain one of them. Let's move on to the next question. It's not the last, sorry. There's also a question from Abdul Majid, which says, good day, sir, do the two apps work together? That is Joe Vision and Cloud C. Do the two apps work together? This is a question on remote view or the viewing of cameras or CCTV cameras on phone. And it's asking, do the two apps work together? That is Joe Vision and then the Cloud C. Now, this is the answer. Joe Vision is the company that produces Joe Vision series of cameras. And the app that Joe Vision has made to be able to view cameras on the phone is what has been called Cloud C app. So Joe Vision is the company that manufactured the Cloud C app. And so Joe Vision is not a separate app, whilst Cloud C is a separate app. No, Joe Vision is the company, and the Cloud P2P app's name for Joe Vision is the Cloud C app. So they are not two different brands, they are the same. This is another question from Abubakar Dambaya. I hope I pronounced it well. And it says, Happy New Year, sir. Please give us theory steps of configuration. We will very soon get to the configuration settings, so please don't be in a hurry. We'll look at configuration in our live lessons, so don't worry, we'll get there. And this is a question from Richard Sabila, and Richard is asking a question on video intercom system installation. And this question says, with network cable, can you use single cables, or you can bundle two cables together like green and striped green? All right. Richard, what I can say is that when it comes to the network cable, It depends on what you want to do. The conductors within the network cable, if you require just 2 pairs of it, or you require just a number of pairs, you can combine a few pairs together so that you can increase the cross-sectional area of the conductor you are using. But so it is not cut out in stone that as I use the green, then that is final. No, depending on what you want to do, you want to transport power from one point to the other, you need increased cross-sectional area. Why not? You can combine 2 or more together, but you must be sure that the colors you are combining at one end should be the colors you are receiving at the other end, and applied to the same use of which you did from the other end that you started it from. So it's about pairing. You should be able to pair the colors well from one end to the other. All right, let's move on to the next one, and this is a question from TK, and TK has sent a very long write-up. I'll try and read. Hi, thanks kindly for your video in search for all VMS 600. I think the question really here is this: but I do have the camera's P2P. However, upon putting the P2P as Cloud CID, it did not accept it. And let me say that in the first place, the P2P is not the Cloud CID of the CCTV camera. You would have to look for the Cloud CID of the camera. The Cloud CID, most of the time when you connect the camera to the VMS app and you do a search, it will show you the Cloud CID of your cameras. So that's one way you can access Cloud CIDs of cameras. My IP cameras use CamHe app on the mobile phone. Any other solution to connect desktop remotely? And then he says regards. All right, so what I want to say is that, as I mentioned earlier on, I would most of the time recommend that you use a VMS that comes from the manufacturer of your CCTV camera, so that you do not have the challenge of compatibility when it comes to linking the camera to the VMS. Nonetheless, if you can use the what is called the OnVIF technology, you are able to configure the OnVIF technology on the app and also on your CCTV brand of camera. You can always use different models or different manufacturer brands, or brands from different manufacturers together. That is if you can use the OnVIF technology. But I will recommend that if you can use the OnVIF technology, you should be trying to get the VMS or the apps from your manufacturer to apply to whatever use you want to put it to. That is my answer to that, TK. And so I want to also go to the shout out messages I received from you, my cherished viewers. And this is from Consgrove or Shop Bang Cosgrove. And this is saying, I absolutely love this guy. He explains what he does for the likes of me. I can follow each part and I'm not scratching my head. Thank you so much for your shout out message. And I have shout out message from Bimbola as well. Thank you, tutor. I also have another one from Unique Skills. It says, you are a good teacher. God bless you, boss. Thank you so much, Unique Skills. There's one from Damilari Yaya. It says, please, do you have a video that explains the configuration of Wi-Fi model? No, I do not. The Wi-Fi model. Oh, okay. I do not yet have a video on the Wi-Fi model, but if you want, I can do one for you. That's Damilari Yaya. And then also Susan Kikoko. It says, thanks, and I also thank you for watching. There's another one from Abeko TV. Abeko TV, great teacher. Thumbs up for your videos. Thank you so much for watching. And then also this one is also from Brian Udo. Brian says, I enjoy watching your videos. They are well explained. Thank you so much, Brian. I am so much grateful for your time on this channel. I am Run Content says, thank you, sir. Very good explanation. The way of teaching is awesome. I also thank you for watching. This is also from Tony. Tony, hi. You've done it neatly, says Tony. Great video as always. Can't wait for the connection of mic, if that will be possible. I will definitely look at the way you can connect the cameras that use microphones. So Tony, just stay tuned and stay put. We'll go to that level. And so I think that's all for the week. I thank you so much for your time and your audience. I am always glad to come your way with new ideas and new videos. Thank you so much for your time with me on Tech Inside Out. So until we meet again next time, I say bye bye and stay tuned to this channel. Ensure you subscribe to the channel and also turn on your notification so that anytime we come up with new things, you'll be alerted of your notification, or you'll be alerted from your notifications. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. God bless you and bless you so much. Thank you.